Greetings, beloved light warriors. It's Saratoga, and this is your weekly focus card reading for the week beginning March 29th through April the 4th. And if you are new to my channel, you should know that I do this every Sunday so that we can reset our focus and our energy for the coming week ahead. And I do my on-camera videos on Tuesdays and Fridays. Okay, let us take a look at this week. And for this week, we have 3 cards instead of the one that I normally pull for you guys. So these cards are very powerful when combined together. So the first card is openness, and then we have potential, and finally we have transformation. So this is a very powerful and very beautiful sequence. And I'm going to be relaying the message from this reading in the larger context of ascension, of planetary evolution and human evolution. But you can always feel free to take any personal meaning from these cards if you feel that the cards are signal a special message that is just for you as an individual. Okay, so let us start with the first card, which has a very beautiful illuminated full moon. And full moons always indicate clearing, letting go, release, things like that. So this card says openness. Now, in the context of where we are on this planet today, what comes to mind for me mostly about this card is the subject of reference points. One of the things we really need to take into consideration if we truly want to experience an evolutionary and powerful ascension to higher realms of existence, we have to take into consideration the fact that we do not possess, on this planet, we do not possess all of the reference points that exist throughout this universe and throughout an actual ascension process. Our reference points are mostly related to the past. They're mostly related to what we've already experienced and what we already know. So if we try to understand evolution, and if we try to understand our ascension process from our limited reference points that we have, what's going to happen is we're going to start getting really confused, really overwhelmed, because ascension is a dynamic, unpredictable process. And you can see that by what we've experienced on this planet over the last year and a half or so. Totally unexpected, right? So I'm just going to jump to the second card for a moment, because the second card is about really reaching our full potential in the universe, and that's how we experience transformation, which is what ascension is really about. It's really about a transformation at a universal cosmic level. So back to the first card, in order to follow through on that sequence of experience, we have to start by not having such an iron-tight grip on what we think we know. Actually doing that has gotten us in a lot of trouble, you guys, because, for example, when we revere science as almost like at a religious level, like we do on this planet, and then science tells us, oh, there's no one else in the universe, there's just us. This is the best there is, folks, so don't expect anything better. That's the real hidden message behind there's no one else out there and we're all alone. See, the hidden message is don't expect anything better, this is the best there is. You see how tricky that is, you guys? So that's what I mean. If we say, well, all we have is what science tells us, that's the only reference point we have, we're going to be trapped in this situation wherever it's trying to take us right now, which on a physical level isn't so great. So the message from this card, I feel, is just so powerful, is saying, hey, you know what? It's okay to acknowledge that we don't know everything there is to know in the universe. We don't need to know everything there is to know. We even don't need to know everything there is to know about ascension. What we need to know is what is next. What is the next thing that we need to understand? That is what will open up to us. So when this card says openness, I think there are multiple meanings. It's like the universe will open more secrets to us. The universe will open more knowledge to us if we open ourselves. But in order to open ourselves to that potentiality, we have to be willing to let go of thinking we need to know everything there is to know about ascension and evolution. We need to know the whole story right now before we can take a single step forward. I have to say, I really feel this is probably the most significant card of all three, which is why I'm probably going to spend most of my time on it. Ascension is a co-creative process. Evolution is co-creative. We cannot evolve in our own little bubble. We need to have that co-creative partnership and union with the larger universe, with those forces of nature and light and love that function in a synergistic way with who we are as human beings to evolve us to the next level. So just to put this all in a nutshell for the first card, really start to consider, if you've been very confused about ascension, if you're very confused about what's been happening on this planet, consider the possibility that we don't know everything there is to know about our situation. And that's fine. And when you let go of thinking that all there is to know is what we already know, I guess that's the best way to say it. You can cause yourself a lot of stress if you believe that what we know right now is all there is to know, and we have to somehow configure that information in some way so that it all makes sense. And then we find that we can't do it. So you're going to relieve yourself of a lot of stress if you just let it go. If you have a lot of stuff in your head about what's going on and about ascension, and it's just causing you to feel overwhelmed or stressed, you could really just let it go and say, you know what? I think there's more that I just don't know about the situation, and I'm open to discovering what it is. And you're going to find that you will instantly relax. Okay, so let's go to the next card, which says potential. And as you can see in this card, we have this very tall mountain, and at the top of that mountain, we see into the universe, we see into the galaxy. So this is really very obviously about reaching our full potential at a galactic level and at a universal cosmic level. That's the level of potential that we want to reach for. So now if you have the openness to be willing to say, I don't necessarily know exactly what that looks like, but I do sense I have a potential that is far greater than my imagination can picture right now. And then you connect with your heart and you align your energy in your physical body with your inner wisdom. You may begin to see the vision of what is actually possible. And by letting go of all that old stuff, by letting go of thinking that we need to forcibly take that old information and somehow make it work to interpret what we're all going through right now, when you let that go, you're going to free yourself in the universe, in the cosmos, because let me add this one thing. We are in the universe right now, okay? We don't need a spaceship. We're about as deep in this universe right now as anyone could possibly get. Okay, it's an illusion to think that, well, we're not really in space, we're not really in the universe. Yes, we are. We're right next to a star, which is our sun. So put your life in that context already, and you'll just realize that you can relax so much more. And also, when you accept the fact that we don't know everything about all of this, you will also open yourself up to a much higher potential than perhaps you ever dreamed possible. Now let's go to the third card, which is transformation, and you'll start to see how all three of these cards are so beautifully interwoven. Transformation is, in a way, transmutation. And you know, we have the beautiful butterfly on this card. I like the rose in the center because the rose is a symbol of love. And love is the most powerful transformer of life. So let's think for a moment about the symbol of the butterfly and how a caterpillar transforms itself into a butterfly. That is literally a model or a representation of the ascension process, where we literally transform our entire being, our entire physiology. Everything transforms into a completely different type of being at a much more beautiful, higher level. We transform ourselves out of duality. We transform ourselves away from being so bound to this earth and bound to this dualistic situation that we find ourselves in. So that's really where we're going in the highest sense of the word in this universe, in our ascension process. So yeah, let's just look at all of these cards together for a moment. So we have the openness, letting go of thinking we need to know everything there is to know right now, recognizing that our reference points are all past related, and where we're going is where we've never been before. So by letting go, we open ourselves up to be able to reach our full potential, to be able to envision and start to get a visceral feeling of what that potential could actually be like. And then when we start to reach for that potential, as we envision it, as we reach for it from our hearts in love, we start to transform. We start to become different in a more positive, high vibrational way. So you could almost see this sequence of openness, reaching for a higher potential, ultimate transformation. You can almost see that as like a wave or a sequence that repeats itself over and over again. Imagine this like a sequence that is starts at the base of a spiral and starts to move upward in an upward spiral of high vibrational, high frequency energy, and that represents the ascension process as a whole. It's a very beautiful process, you guys. So I hope that assists you in getting a feel for what ascension is really like, because ascension is really, it's a process of feeling, of experiencing. It's not a mental process. And I think too many times we try to make it mental. We try to figure it out. We try to understand it based on what we already know. So see if you can just let that go and start to tune into the energy, that cosmic energy, that cosmic feel of that, that will draw you upward in that beautiful spiral of light and power and love to reach your highest potential in this universe. And that's a journey that we're all on and will continue to be on for however long it takes for us as a humanity and also as individual human beings, because everyone goes at their own pace, right? For each of us as individual human beings to reach that highest, most incredibly beautiful plane of existence where all of this duality is no more, and there is nothing but creation and inspiration and beauty and love and light. Okay, so I hope you guys have found this helpful. I hope it has inspired you to let go and allow a more powerful energy to come into your sphere of being, come into your sphere of life, and become united with the natural world, the natural universe, so that you can stay on an ascension journey through whatever this planet is going through and beyond. All right, so I'm wishing you guys a beautiful week ahead. I'm sending you all so much love, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste, everyone.